Another year, another franchise, but this year is going to be a little bit different. We're not just going to trade everybody away and sign the best of the worst players available like previous years. This year we have a goal as a franchise, and that goal is to be a place where players prove themselves, live up to their potential, and make good on a second chance. Welcome to Last Chance Franchise. Okay, so not quite like that, but what I wanted to do this year is not just sign anybody under a certain overall, but rather sign specific players based on the criteria I just explained. So we're looking for players who maybe have had off-field issues, who haven't been given a fair chance to show their ability, or are in need of a fresh start because maybe they're stuck behind an entrenched starter, or maybe just have had bad luck with injuries. Also, some of the guys we'll bring in have had on-field issues too, but we're choosing to bet on the fact that they can turn it around and finally live up to their potential. So we'll have a whole mix of guys desperate for this last chance with this franchise, and if they play well enough, maybe they'll even outlive the drafted players we'll bring in. But now the big question, why the Arizona Cardinals? Why not the Browns, who literally have already decided that their whole philosophy is going to be guys who need to prove themselves? Well, we have to be back in the NFC as per the rules of Fire Sale Reboot Last Chance franchises. Well, the name changes every year. But the Arizona Cardinals themselves anyway, they've got history of exactly this. They've got history in helping people get on the straight and narrow. The most famous example, of course, being Tyrann Mathieu. And with a rookie head coach in Steve Wilks, they're willing to take it one step further as he looks for a way to get ahead in an ever more competitive league. But like I said, this isn't going to be an ordinary fire sale franchise. Their target of the first season is not just to tank and get the highest possible pick like we've done in previous years. For one, we're going to end up with a lot less picks, mainly because we're not cutting everybody except the kicker and the punter this year. Also because we're going for some more specific players, we're going to have to be trading for a lot more guys. Now, of course, like last year, we'll keep the rookies, but that's not all we're keeping this year. As a matter of fact, we're not actually keeping the kicker, we're going to be cutting him. But let me first start this fire, let me burn down what already exists, and then I'll explain everything when the Last Chance franchise is ready. It is time to finally reveal what this franchise will look like this season. And here we go. As you can see, the big thing is that Larry Fitzgerald is still on the team. We have kept a superstar on the offense. And now let's take a look at the rest of them, because obviously you'll be wondering what a couple of these people are doing here. Remember, the criteria, of course, is guys maybe looking for a second chance, a last chance. You know, maybe they've had some trouble along the ways. And Cyrus Kouandjio here at left tackle was, of course, his most famous moment being found undressed in a field by police. Now, it's not the world's biggest scandal. It's incredibly weird, and he'll be looking to overcome that with a starting chance here with the Arizona Cardinals. Then Luke Joeckel, one-time very, very high draft pick, second overall, in fact, and has never lived up to that billing. We're giving him another chance here to try and get it going, of course, at guard rather than tackle. Hroniss Grasu is our center. 3 seasons ago, he was the Bears starter at center in the final 8 games of the season. They went into the next season, hoping that he will be there for them. Very optimistic about the offensive line, and then he goes and gets injured. Cody Whitehair gets pushed over to center, and he's never had a look in since. Then our right guard will be just our rookie Cole here, because, well, actually we traded for a player who used to play for the Cardinals anyway, Jonathan Cooper, and we were giving him another chance, a 7th overall pick, but actually he just disappeared. We traded for him and he disappeared. Maybe, not, he may have disappeared on the field too, but it's what happens every now and then with the Cloud League. You never know. It's always part of the fun. So then our right tackle, another high draft pick who's never lived up to the billing on the offensive line. Smith will be looking to get it going for us finally after all these years. And then our tight ends, we've got Brent Selleck. Spent his career with the Philadelphia Eagles before, being shoved out in favor of Zach Ertz. And to be fair, he held him off for a couple of years longer than he maybe should have done. and he's just looking for a place, you know, to play out 1 or 2 more years whilst he still can. And we sold it to him. We said, listen, Larry Fitzgerald here is going to be taking a bunch of guys under his wing. We'd like if you could come to us and do the same thing. He stays with the birds on his helmet, and we've got Cajuiced, of course, of Hard Knocks fame. You'll see a couple of guys in here from the Browns, but Cajuiced, we couldn't not take the juice. And to be fair, I really took him because he's got some great sprint speeds. His speed, his acceleration is very good, and he's not bad actually at all, and he fits our scheme. So let's take a look at the running backs. This one's pretty easy. Eddie Lacy, can you tell me a running back who needs a second chance more than him? Another chance, a restart to his career? I don't think so. Stephen Ridley, pretty similar as well. Both of these guys have eclipsed 1,000 yards at some point in their career. Stephen Ridley has gotten 12 touchdowns in one season, 7 touchdowns in another. Eddie Lacy with similar numbers of 11 touchdowns in his rookie season, 9 touchdowns the year after, 2 seasons eclipsing 1,000 yards. Stephen Ridley used to average 4.3 yards per carry for the whole season for fun, and Eddie Lacy was right around there. And then CJ Procise. Obviously, he was supposed to be something for the Seahawks, but the Seahawks change who is supposed to be something at the running back position every single season or every 4 weeks at this point. And I found him just, you know, lying around on the free agent pile, and I thought we always bring in a pass-catching running back in these series, and he is going to be that man this time. So CJ Procise joins the team. To be fair, has a chance to just take over as the full-time starting running back when you look at the stats. Stephen Ridley's not that fast. Eddie Lacy's actually not too slow. We'll have to see what he does for us. And then, of course, our quarterback, just Josh Rosen, but also fits the billing anyway. He's a rookie, so we got to keep him. But, of course, with his injury and the fact that people are doubting him in that sense, also fits what this team is looking at. And then Charleston Fowler, you know, find me a fullback with a story and I'll put him in. But Charleston Fowler, about as much as we could find there. A 2-time national champion who can't find a team, and we brought him in, and he'll be playing for us. So, of course, Larry Fitzgerald is here, but who will he be taking under his wing? Well, of course, Christian Kirk, drafted, gets to stay on the team anyway, but then Kevin White. Can you tell me a receiver who struggled to get his career started more than him? Maybe Brashad Perriman, but they're right there at the same level. Then Carlos Henderson, he's had some trouble, had some runnings with the law, he's been suspended for the first game of the season, as a matter of fact. And then, talking about some trouble, we've got Antonio Callaway, another star of Hard Knocks, and I say star, it's really not starring what he's been doing, but you know, as Hugh Jackson said to Jarvis Landry, take Callaway under your wing. It's the kind of thing Larry Fitzgerald will do well. Now that's exactly what Larry Fitzgerald will be doing. And Antonio Callaway, hopefully he'll be able to get it going under Fitzgerald. He's got, you know, 3 guys here. One of them just needs to get his career started. The other 2 need to, you know, keep it on the straight and narrow. And then we've just got Christian Kirk, who's a good receiver and happened to be on the team anyway. So we're happy to have them here. So now, let's take a look at the defense. And the first thing you will see here again, another superstar stays on the team. Patrick Peterson survives the culling, and he will continue to play for the Cardinals. But apart from him, every other person has been changed, and as I talk about change, we need to make that change right there. There we go. So let's take a look at this team, and we'll go straight here to where I think a few people will look. I had to bring in Shaquem Griffin. If we're talking about guys who were maybe doubted at some point or need a chance to prove themselves, of course he comes to mind. Now, I did feel kind of bad for splitting him and his twin up, but they stay in the same conference, they get to meet twice a year, and we did pay a pretty hefty price for him, what we ended up giving away to get him. But also, if there was no other reason than his speed at that outside linebacker position is ridiculous. He's in the 90s, and that's insane. We've got other guys who are fast, but he's just on another level. Talking about fast, Stephen Anthony started as an all-rookie choice in his first year, 115 tackles, somewhere around that number, and then gets changed to strong side linebacker and just drops off, ends up getting waived by the Saints. For a guy of his potential to get waived a season later, obviously injury played a factor, but we're giving him a chance here. Then, in our middle linebacker position, we got John Bostich, the one-time supposed to be successor of Brian Urlacher with the Chicago Bears. John Bostich never lived up to that, but we're giving him a chance here to live up to some of his potential. And then behind him, we've got Bam Bradley, not really doesn't really fit any specification of this, except for the fact, you know, he got injured in his rookie season and he's looking to prove something here as well. And he's called Bam Bradley and he's a middle linebacker, so if he hits hard, that'll be great. So let's take a look at one more outside linebacker, Sean Weatherspoon, still kicking around. Of course, the one single season he played 16 full games, he was incredible. And you can only describe what he was as incredible. You had everything you would want from an outside linebacker, but since then, and even before then, has struggled to be on the field for 16 games in a season. As a matter of fact, has never done it apart from one time. And we're giving him a chance here again as a backup. You know, he can kind of rotate in and we should be able to keep him healthy. Then at free safety, we've got Lonnie Ballantyne. Tell me a guy who needs to prove himself more than Mr. Irrelevant. Mr. Irrelevant from 2014, the last pick of the draft. And since, you know, being drafted by the Texans, he just struggled to stay healthy, bouncing around with different injuries, not good for him at all. And then we look at the strong safety. We've got Ronnie Harrison. No other reason that we got Ronnie Harrison except for the fact we got Lonnie and Ronnie as our safeties. No, the actual reason is we wanted Shamarko Thomas. He was supposed to be the successor to Troy Polamalu with the Steelers, and that's the story there in itself, but unfortunately he also just disappeared, just like Jonathan Cooper. We didn't actually manage to trade for him, we just never found him. So we've got Ronnie Harrison instead, Lonnie and Ronnie holding it down there, and it's just a good player to have. There's no bigger story behind it, unfortunately, but we'll keep moving on. Let's take a look here at Odighizuwa. The only reason he's here is to make it more fun for me to have to say his name. No, we'll probably end up just calling him Diggy or Double O, but point is, he fits this story. He was kind of seen as a successor to Justin Tuck with the Giants. Not straight up, but was seen as someone who could do similar things. And, well, he played a decent first season and then got injured. And then after the injury, got suspended for 4 games for PEDs. And then got cut because of that and has not been on a team apart from a off-season roster since then, or a preseason roster, or a training roster, or a practice squad. You know what I mean. Then our defensive tackle number 1 didn't switch teams. It's Robert Kimdichie, who of course had some trouble in college, has got something to prove, and to be fair, hasn't proven it on the field since we drafted him, and we're giving him a chance. Behind him, Phil Taylor, who has taken an entire season off, who's had multiple injury problems, a first-round pick of the Browns, has not lived up to that whatsoever. And right here, another pick of the Browns, Caleb Brantley, had some trouble, which we won't exactly describe, but you should know the charges were dismissed. But that's the reason he was a later round draft pick. Still a whole bunch of potential. Be very interesting to see what he does. Then Eric Lee, not a huge story here, you know. He looked like he burst onto the scene with the Patriots, getting, I think it was 3 consecutive games with sacks or something like that, and then wasn't really given a chance to start. It hasn't really been long since then, to be honest. I just needed a player and he wasn't that bad, and there's not that many guys kicking around within our criteria in that position. And then we also brought in a rookie this season because, well, look at his name. I don't mean the last name because I won't even try and pronounce it. His first name is Hercules. Now, you show me a defensive lineman who's called Hercules and I'll show you someone who's on our team. And then let's look at the cornerback. So Patrick Peterson sticks around, 1, because it's too hard to justify trading him away, and 2, because, well, Larry Fitzgerald's looking after the receivers and the offense. We needed the same guy on the defense, and you take a look at who's actually on the Cardinals, and there's not many guys left really that have got that old, veteran leadership quality that he has. The team's gotten a lot younger recently, but he's still around and he'll be looking after these cornerbacks. And we've got Fabian Moreau as one of them. Again, not really much of a story except for he did have some injury issues and it affected where he got drafted and he didn't really play in his first season, and that's about it. Then we've got Beal down here, who had to enter in the supplementary draft. He is a rookie and he had to enter in the supplementary draft because he didn't get the grades he needed to be able to play his final year. Well, that's why he's here. And then the 4th cornerback. It's, listen, do I need to justify why we've got a guy called Nickerson playing for us? No, I don't. You know exactly why he's here. And, well, he's the real-life cousin of Jameson Nickerson. Also, not a bad player. We've got some pretty good players compared to last year, I would argue. Especially because we've brought in a few more rookies this time, which we didn't do before, really. We tended to stay away from them. but we've done that this time. We've obviously kept some rookies, and we've kept 2 very important superstars, but actually, as I keep talking, I realize we haven't shown our final guy in his last chance. Roberto Aguayo needs one more chance to prove he can actually be a useful kicker. But then there is one thing left to talk about. This series is called Last Chance Franchise, but there's somebody missing. That's right, the 5th cornerback to be added to the team is the man that, well, maybe you could call him the star, one of the stars of the original season of Last Chance U. It's John Franklin III, who entered the NFL as a cornerback. He joined the Bears as an undrafted free agent, switching to the cornerback position. We're going to be probably trying to, use him maybe as a backup safety, because at the end of the day, if nothing else, he's an athlete. We've got plenty of guys on the team who are athletes, but, it's Last Chance Franchise. He's got to star in some way, so even if he comes in every now and then, that's as much as we can expect from him. Now, of course, this year it's going to be a little bit better, more functional to upgrade people ourselves. So maybe you can expect to see some of these players kicking around for the long haul. Of course, Josh Rosen, one reason I wanted to go with the Cardinals was because I knew that would lock the quarterback position down. In the other seasons in the Firestar franchise, Reboot franchise, quarterback's been a tricky position in the sense that I don't think anybody ever came in and was a noticeable superstar. It's a Last Chance franchise with some superstars left behind to try and bring these guys up, and that is pretty much it for what I need to explain about this. We've looked at everything. Now let's finish the first episode by setting our season goal, which we will do right now. Now, of course, our first season, you never know what you're going to get. Maybe we could surprise people. We could come out and absolutely surprise everybody, but we're in an incredibly tough division. Of course, we've got the Rams, we've got the new look 49ers. The Seahawks are never not going to be strong. And, I mean, look at our opponents. We've got a tough road. We've got Falcons there as well. We've got the Vikings. They're not going to be easy. The Redskins aren't bad either. The Chiefs, the Raiders, the Chargers. We're playing in the AFC West, so that's not going to be fun for us. All tough games. So I think, to be honest, we're looking at 7 wins at best. 7 wins at best, I think. We'll aim for that. We'll say, listen, if we get 7 wins, we'll be happy. We'll commit to our goal right now. Steve Wilkes, of course, the head coach. I'm just a commentator. I've got nothing to do with this. And that is it. That is it for the first episode. I just wanted to introduce this team, explain the series this year, and that is what it is. I'm still going to do a little bit more tinkering. I haven't really touched special teams or the specialists, and we'll figure that out. But for now, this is the Last Chance franchise. Thank you for watching, and I hope you're excited for plenty of good episodes to come.